What do RV buyers really want? And how can they tell manufacturers about it? Why are we working against each other instead of together? Let's talk about this. I'm Jason Epperson, and this is RV Miles. Most RVers know that the RV industry, whether it be manufacturing, dealerships, or campgrounds and RV parks, is plagued with a host of problems. Some of these problems are understated, some are overstated, some are a lot more complex to solve than folks might think. So instead of just complaining about RV manufacturing quality, I'm always a fan of figuring out what the issues actually are. The first step in solving a problem is knowing you have one. The second step is knowing that you probably have multiple problems, and maybe they're not actual problems, but symptoms of another problem that you don't know about at all. We just held our annual homecoming rally, which is sort of a end of this summer Midwest camping season event where we get together with a whole bunch of seasoned RVers and have some fun. You can check out the latest episode of the RV Miles podcast over on the RV Miles podcast channel to get a sense of what this event is about. But at it, we play games, we break bread, we have seminars and more. This year, though, one of our seminar sessions was sort of a town hall listening session. We decided to put a few dozen RVers in a room and get some real feedback from them that we can share with some of the folks that we know in the RV industry. We wanted to hear what's working and what's not when it comes to using their RVs, the buying process, all of it. And we wanted to hear their solutions, their ideas about what would make RV ownership just a little bit easier. So I took a lot of notes. I'm putting a document together, but I thought I'd also do a video to give you some of the overall impressions and of course, to get your feedback too. But first, this episode is sponsored by RVmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding, where you can get a real mattress for your RV because the one that came with it's probably not very good. And they make those platforms in all sorts of weird different sizes, and you can get them all over at RVmattress.com, where you can get a real mattress from a real mattress company. It's got a 120-night sleep trial. It comes shipped to you wherever you are in the country from their factory in Arizona. You just unroll it, let it expand, and you can get all those weird short king, short queen, bunk sizes, all of it. Their mattresses are toxin-free, and you get 30% off by going over to rvmattress.com/RVmiles and using the code RVmiles at checkout. A dozen people at homecoming had mattresses from Brooklyn Bedding, and they are all very happy with that purchase decision. You will be too. Head over to rvmattress.com/RVmiles and use the code RVmiles at checkout for 30% off. All right, let's dive in. I've broken this down into a few different areas, but let's start off with the buying process. It's overwhelming, right? Many folks at the event felt that RV salespeople aren't trained enough in what they sell, and that perhaps they're spread too thin over way too many products. People wanted to know why dealers don't specialize in just a few brands, maybe from the same umbrella manufacturer, instead of trying to sell 40 different brands at once. There's no way for that individual dealer to get educated on all of that stuff. And then once the RV is in the owner's hands, many folks felt that they were far underprepared for ownership. Maybe their dealer did a walkthrough, maybe a thorough one, but still there were things on the unit that they didn't know how to operate. A solar and battery system expert told us that you wouldn't believe how many people just don't know how to make their solar work. They bought it, they paid for it, but they don't know how to use it. Another story was one I've commonly heard. An owner talked about how he camped in his unit for a few days and the kitchen sink started backing up. After trying to unclog it and otherwise troubleshoot it, he found out he had a second gray tank that he had no idea was there. It was just full. I've heard lots of people have very similar issues to that. Nobody showed them this. There was no manual that said this. There was no stickers. RV owners want to know more about how to use their units. Many suggested that dealerships offer classes. In fact, many said they'd be willing to pay for it. They want to be able to use their unit and be able to maintenance it properly and service at least some of the small problems themselves. A few attendees talked about how they took RV technician training courses just to learn everything about their RV. There's no reason dealers couldn't offer similar training. One Integra motorhome owner talked about Integra's RV Owners Training Academy. They had to pay a significant amount to take the class, but found it worth every penny. Integra partners with chassis manufacturer Spartan for a 5-day course that goes through general maintenance, brakes and tires, air systems, electrical, jacks, engines, generators, slides, and basic troubleshooting. And if you have a Spartan chassis from a different brand, Spartan does a course as well, just for Spartan chassis owners. Maybe people who buy a $20,000 travel trailer won't be interested in spending nearly $2,000 on a week-long course, but people in a motorhome that costs multiple hundreds of thousands, they are. They want to protect their investment. RV manufacturers also need to be a lot better about providing all the information they need to provide about a new unit. And many folks talked about how difficult it is to track down information. Maybe that manufacturer switched water heaters mid-model year or went to a different refrigerator. The manufacturers have got to come up with a better solution for getting all of the pertinent information about all of the systems in an RV to that end user. And they need to be better about doing videos, walking people through some of these things. I know it's hard because one brand could be updating 50 floor plans every year, and that's a lot of videos to make. But the brands that people seem to be happiest with are the ones that are providing this great owner support post-purchase, and they're finding ways to get it done. One great suggestion was to make the VIN number actually mean something. If I log into Ford's website and I put in the VIN for my truck, I can learn about every single feature that was installed on that vehicle. I can see the window sticker. I can see the actual towing capacity and payload. I can see the full manual and service history. I can even schedule a video call from Ford if I need them to teach me how to use any of the features of my vehicle. I can schedule a service appointment, and the service center can see all the details about my vehicle before I get there. There's no excuses for this stuff not to be modernized. In fact, there are probably ways that streamlining this stuff can save the manufacturer and the dealership money. One of the big brands out there, one of the big manufacturers, just streamlined their parts ordering and made the parts numbers the same across all of their sub-brands in the last year or two. It's ridiculous that it's taking this long to modernize some of this stuff. And speaking of service, that's a whole nother ball of wax. One owner expressed that they feel the difficulty in getting service is a game where the manufacturer is just trying to run out the clock on their 1-year warranty. It's called repair event cycle time, or RECT, by dealers, the amount of time it takes to get RVs serviced once a problem has been discovered. It was suggested by somebody that most problems you should be able to get fixed in the same day. Just like if you take your car into a shop and have it looked at. If they have the part and can drop it in, if it's something small or if they just need to fix a little thing, it shouldn't take weeks getting the manufacturer to approve warranty costs and ship parts. Dealers should have more of these parts on hand. Parts should be less varied. And if you know what part is the problem, it should be able to be ordered before your service appointment so you aren't dropping your RV off and waiting literally an average of 30 days for non-warranty repair and more than double that for warranty repair. It's embarrassing to the entire industry. I know some folks are working on solutions to that problem. Check out my interview with Bish's RV dealership chain about their Bish Fix program, which seems like an interesting approach. And even if it isn't working, at least they're trying to be different. One buyer also pointed out the difference between RV service and chassis service on a motorhome and laid out some of the struggles in trying to find service for a motorhome. Sure, you may have a Mercedes or a Ford chassis on your Class C motorhome. Maybe that provides you some comfort, knowing that if you need to get problems with the drivetrain or the brakes or the fuel system fixed, you can go to all of these dealerships across the country until you try to do it. And you find out that most don't have a service bay big enough to fit you in. Try getting a Mercedes diesel exhaust system serviced in the middle of Montana. But some pointed out some really positive experiences, especially when it comes to manufacturers that perform service at the factory. Airstream owners lauded the factory service center in Jackson Center, Ohio. An Oliver owner talked about how Oliver wants you to take your trailer back to them once a year so they can touch up any issues you're having. An Alliance owner talked about taking his rig back to Elkhart for a problem that needed fixing, and how Alliance made sure to take a look at and adjust several components that they've had problems with on other units just to make sure that they're all okay and that the customer was 100% taken care of before leaving and wasn't going to have to come back. Of course, all of that requires you to take your RV back to the manufacturer. Some manufacturers hold rallies that are for owners of their brand, and at those rallies, they perform free service, and several folks mentioned really appreciating that experience. But it'd be nice if we could get some of that really great service at factory specialized dealers around the country. But this type of service is the stuff that really makes RVers truly happy. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the actual quality of RV construction. A lot of us Monday morning quarterback on this because we don't really know all of the details about what works and what doesn't on the manufacturing level and how it all happens. But clearly a lot of brands have problems, and there's a system-wide problem that really ought to be addressed. Maybe manufacturers are making too many models. Maybe we buyers take some responsibility there. We can't just floor plan shop. We have to look at quality. We can't just look at 5 manufacturers that make the same floor plan and buy the cheapest one. But that tends to be what a lot of us do. Buyers are getting smarter though, but overall, that's not going to change anytime soon. So how about some better minimum standards? We don't need to go crazy and make it so manufacturing costs twice as much, but perhaps the minimum standards for things like axles and suspensions and frame thickness could be increased a little bit by the RV Industry Association. That way, every manufacturer across the board has to do it. And a manufacturer who already does the right thing and spends the extra money isn't trying to compete with the ones that are trying to cheap out. And if we could build these units to be just a bit more serviceable, it'd be very helpful. There are a few manufacturers out there that advertise that they use color-coded wiring like it's a huge bonus. That should be base level standard. Now give us access to that wiring so we can fix it or run new things when we upgrade. It shouldn't require rebuilding walls to upgrade your battery and your solar. Some folks talked about how some of the upgrades that manufacturers install at the factory to make their RV smarter maybe aren't so smart. For example, auto sensing converters that allow you to use lithium batteries with the factory converter. If it says lithium ready, you might have this. I didn't realize it, but those converters often struggle hard to realize you're using a lithium battery. You have to do a lot of stuff to make it understand that. And if it doesn't, you're getting half of the use that you should be out of your battery. Here's an idea. Instead of an auto sensing converter, just put a switch on the darn thing. Lithium, lead acid, simple. But a lot of this stuff, let's be honest, isn't design. It's just quality control at the factory. And this is something that manufacturers are improving on, believe it or not. Pre-pandemic, you might not know, there was kind of a push where many manufacturers were upgrading their quality control, and they were trying a bit to compete on quality. There were some that were trying to say, hey, we're doing this and this is why. And then the pandemic hit and everything went to hell. They just started building as many as possible. Well, now things are getting a little bit harder for manufacturers. The industry has come back down to earth and even further below earth, and the manufacturers are having to compete with each other. And I truly think that this will be a time going forward when they do have to start competing on quality. And they should, because it's a selling point. Tell us about the quality improvements that you make. A lot of us will buy based on those decisions you make. A lot of the brands don't want to talk about the quality choices they make. And I don't know if that's because their sister brands under the same umbrella company don't do that stuff and they don't want to make them look bad. I'm not sure, but brands in general are just terrible at marketing. This whole industry is 20 years behind the rest of the world when it comes to how you advertise a product. They used to expect the dealers to do all of that sort of stuff and waited way too long to jump into, the internet and video and all this sort of stuff. So now, okay, make a quality upgrade, use a thicker steel on your frame and tell us that you did that. And this is why, and this is the result. We will spend more money if you tell us these things. If you put that information on the unit, if you put that information in videos, we will buy based on those things. And I know some manufacturers are doing some of those things, but they're not telling us about them. I don't know why. I wish they would. Most of us will pay 10% more for an RV if you actually put those dollars into improving some of those basic things on it. There's a long way to go. And one suggestion that I really liked was giving workers bonuses for passing quality control inspections. And I don't want to talk down to the manufacturers here because I don't know all the different things that they try and the different things that they do. And I'm sure there's a lot of this stuff that we don't know about that is problematic. And that's why I do think some minimum standards need to be raised and all that sort of stuff. But again, quality is a selling point. Let us know about your quality. We will buy your RV. Let me know in the comments some of your ideas. What are some of the things that you think are working and some that aren't in the RV industry? I don't want to hear the quality just sucks. They all need to be burned down. They all need to go home and quit. What are your ideas? Because that's not happening. So what are the things that the RV manufacturers can do? Hard ideas that will improve the industry, that will improve your chances of buying another RV. I think that's the important information, because they're not going to listen to you if you just say, I hate this industry, I'm done with it. What they'll listen to is what will make you buy another RV. Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. Hit the like button if you got something out of this video. Subscribe if you want more like it. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.